taught here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have been at South Mountain, and I actually just did this question recently, and I forgot. I want to say it was 2017 was actually the first time I began here, and then it was spring of 2018 the first time I taught a class at South Mountain. First time I taught at for Maricopa was in 2000. It was in fall of 2017, but at South Mountain was spring of 2018.
I have a question. So, like, what do you expect from us to get out of this class?
All right, that's a great question. So, what I expect for you to get out of this class is actually going to be a lot of different things. It's called Survey of Computer Information Systems because we actually survey, which means to kind of look out or take an overview of computer information systems. Well, that term alone is huge and dives way deep into many different areas. And so, my goal is for you to kind of get a general, like top level understanding or knowledge of what goes on or what is a part of each of these. So, like with networking, with security, with databases, with using applications, with analytics, creating functions, with programming, with web development. In hardware. I feel like I'm like so like as I keep talking, I'm like, oh yeah, there's this thing too. Oh yeah, there's this thing too. But I really just want you to get that general knowledge. And the point that I personally have with doing that, not just because it's the competencies or what's the course about, but the reason is because you will probably find some kind of niche that you like out of one of those. And some of you are already signed up to be a part of those programs at South Mountain or at another community college for Maricopa, or you already have a desire to in the future go into one of those roles. But look at you what we're doing today, right? Before the pandemic happened, some of you may have we would actually be in a classroom going over this course, but we're online. And there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes in order for this to be able to be made available to you. Well, the future is going towards that. It always has been, but I feel like there's kind of been a rush with it because of everything going on. So everybody needs to know something in regards to computer information systems. And I hope that you all find something that you like, or you may like a lot of it and become a generalist, like a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Or you may find something that you really can just dig your teeth into. I'll give you an example. There was a student who absolutely hated this stuff because of one of his well, not one of his, both his parents were actually in the field, and his older brother was a programmer for Amazon. And he didn't want to have anything to do with technology. And so what he ended up doing was, he's like, I'm gonna be a mortician, so I can be completely away from this stuff. And what he learned in this class was that there were a lot of things that he actually could use. So he wanted to have his own promotional videos, and he like whenever the dad came, he wanted to be able to like help the family instead of putting more pressure on them to like make a video or something. He wanted to be able to help them with that. Like if you have any photos or something, he would spruce it up. He actually moved on further and took some Adobe Photoshop classes, Premiere, so he could learn how to work with videos and images, so he could help the families and take more pressure off of them. Also, he learned how to create his own database so he could save information and a couple of other things. But he got that spark and interest because of this class. And before he absolutely hated everything to do with this just because of his family. So
yeah, my mom's in the field, so I'm like, yay.
yeah. Sometimes there's pressure because of our parents to want to do what they did. And usually it either goes that way or we do the exact opposite. My mom was an English professor. So I ended up teaching, but I stayed away from English and went the other route and went in the mathematics in the computer field instead, which she greatly dislikes both of those. I have an older sister, and she just actually stayed completely away from teaching. It's come up sometimes in her mind. She's like, no, everyone else is doing that, and I'm not doing it. So I understand where you're coming from. All right. What else? Some other questions? This is kind of fun. In the chat. You have a question, Jesus? No. Okay. Okay. You unmuted yourself. So that's the only reason I asked. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to call you out or anything.
Do you use Apple or Android, and why?
As a phone. So is that Seth?
Yeah.
So as my own personal phone, I actually use Android, and I'm going to show you my phone because usually students get a kick out of it. So here's my phone. This is an Android. So most phones now either run iOS, Android. You can find a Windows phone every once in a while too, but Android made by Google, iOS made by Apple, of course, Windows made by Microsoft. The reason I use this Android phone is because you can't get a phone like this with Apple. So I can't get an iOS phone that's a flip phone. I enjoy basic phones because they allow me to escape the temptation of being online and too immersed all the time with multiple applications going on. I think it's kind of funny how you can have multiple apps open and on an iPhone or a iPad, or well, you can do that on your computer as well, but you can actually visually see how it just drains the machine by doing so. And so I think that's a reflection of how it affects our brains too. So I prefer to use this. And I get jokes about it all the time from faculty members and from students. There's sometimes like, how can you teach us about stuff when you don't use it? And just so you know, I do use it. We have an iPad that's been given to us by the school, and so I do have this. And I teach iOS development, so I have to know how to program it, and I have to be able to compile it to create apps, and then test them and use them and give them out to people. So I do that. And if you actually could see well, yeah, I can pick this up. I'm just gonna give you a quick look at my setup here. So there's my monitor, which is yes a TV. I have two computers, iPad. Here's my other monitor, and here's another computer that I use. So I have so much technology around me. I want to lessen the amount that's in my pocket as much as possible. But if you're asking that question in regards to which is better, it all depends on your needs, and that's kind of the same thing with any computer. What are your needs? Do you have a need to do things that you only can do on an Apple computer, such as if you ever want to develop TVs are cheaper monitors. You're right, Amber. That's why I got it. That TV actually was like $20. It's a 19 inch. But if you're gonna be like, for instance, developing for iOS, you have to have a MacBook. Like you cannot compile it on any other machine. But if I wanted to make apps for Windows or for Android, I can still do that on my Mac. So if you're going in a development route, I honestly would say, or programming, I would honestly say that using a Mac computer is better. And a lot of my friends that know that I'm more of a Windows person myself, they would probably kill me for saying that, but it's the truth. And for a lot of the graphic stuff in media, it's actually a lot better to use Apple products. It just is. I mean, I can seamlessly connect from my iPad to my MacBook, which I actually do have a MacBook. It's currently at the school. I have to pick it up, so I have another computer too. But it's seamless to go between the two, even with my applications, and it's a lot harder to do that with Microsoft products a lot of times. So yeah, but Android phone, and it does have the latest version of the OS. So all right, good question. Any other questions?
Yes, I don't know if you explained it, but like, why did you choose this field?
So actually, I started out when I was in second grade. My teacher, who I won't give names because I've been told to stop giving full names. You guys would never know. But anyway, so I had my second grade teacher. I was like, "You're really good at math. You should go to Georgia Tech." and be a mathematician. And so I said, okay. And so that was my plan in life from second grade on. And so I did that. I graduated with my degree in mathematics from Georgia Tech. So I did exactly what she told me I should do. Um, so just so you know, little children are impressionable in case you have any around you. But my first semester at Georgia Tech, but I'll go back a little bit. So the summer before that, I was at this camp for math, and it was just kind of to enrich us with other students around the whole state of Georgia to like have collective mindset and all that to like bloom or whatever. And we were told we have to program, and so at this point in time, I was like, man, programming seems lame. It seems stupid. Why do I have to work with the computer all the time? It breaks. It goes slow because I was on dial up, so it was very slow. But I just didn't have a good taste for computers. Like I didn't like it. I didn't like using them. I was good at it. It seemed simple, but I just didn't enjoy it. And in that summer, I had to learn a programming language known as Delphi. Some people got the chance to learn Java instead, which you probably have heard of Java, even if you aren't in the field or even around people that are in the field. But you probably haven't heard of Delphi. Well, I was forced to do Delphi, which was fun, and I got to do some cool mathematical. I got to do some cool mathematical things with Delphi, but I still didn't enjoy it. My first semester at Tech, we were told the same thing. You have to take programming classes. You have to have at least 2. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get these out the way as soon as possible because I don't enjoy this stuff. And I got into this class, and it was, again, simple. There was a cute girl in the class, so I tried a little harder, and I helped her out a lot. And so I got a little enjoyment from that. But there was this one time where I didn't know how to do something, and it angered me. I was like, I've never had issues with this stuff. And I was all of a sudden a challenge. It was exciting. And so I went to my office. I went to office hours to speak with the TTA, and he was like bombarded with students. Apparently, he was really popular, and a lot of the girls thought he was cute, so they would purposely wait to come to his office hours. His office hours also happened to be right before the things were due. So everybody was there. And I'm like, okay, well, I can help some of these people out because he's not going to be able to get to everyone. And so I did that. And as I started helping people with it, I enjoyed it more and more and more. And then I ended up actually answering my own question that same day. And then he invited me to come back the next week. And I did that the entire rest of that semester. I came and just helped people. I helped him. So he got, his job was a little easier and I got paid. I didn't get paid for it. But eventually that actually gave me my first job as a TA for that same course the next semester. And I just kind of, the instructor was the same professor I had. She became my boss, and she kind of just began to teach me different languages and show me how things connected more. And I just kind of fell in love with it. But I still love math more than I did the stuff with computers. The computers kind of became a secondary. And I got to see how computers were so important to the field of mathematics. Because I mean, you guys probably may have no care about some of the stuff when it comes to math, but there's this like prime numbers. What's the largest prime number that you can find? Well, they don't sit down and crunch that by hand. They build a program and they let it run, and they let it run on multiple computers. How many digits? Is pi really never ending? Well, there's no sound proof that it is. It's just very viable that there's an infinite number of digits in pi. Well, how do you prove that? I actually did this in school. So you can create a program to actually estimate the pi, and the more points you have, the more accurate it gets. And so you really needed to go to an infinite number of points. Well, so I decided, start at 100, 1,000. I got to like 10 million on my computer. And then when I tried to go for 100 million, my computer crashed. So it was things like that that started getting me into it. It was my first, I was forced into it, and then being able to help others with it, and I got enjoyment from that. And then 2, I saw how intertwined it was with my career and with my career goals. And then it kind of just never left. There was a point in time where I taught high school after I graduated from college, and then I went and became a professional tutor because I was able to make more money doing that and work less hours. And then I was like, I'm not really enjoying this. I want to get back into programming. And I got a call, like literally just got a call and was like, hey, we have this programming opportunity. Would you like to take part in it? And so I did that and became a software developer. And I got to see how it was used in the healthcare field. I learned a bunch of stuff in regards to healthcare, like codes, not like coding as in programming, but codes for like medical codes. Like if you have congestive heart failure, it has this special code. Here are these care steps that a nurse should do. She may not do all of them, but she should do, if she does anything to you, it should be within these to help with that. Like I learned all of these different things because I had to program it. And it just kept going from there. And it just kind of never stopped. So, yeah. All right. More questions. I have a few more minutes and slotted for this time before we move forward, but anyone else? Oh, okay. It looks like someone asked for permission to annotate. So that annotation would be typing or drawing on my screen. If there's something that you need to say, you could say it in the chat or you can unmute yourself. Have you taken a class at South Mountain before? Yes, I actually have. So again, I'm from Georgia. I moved out here, and then I ended up being a tutor in the tutoring center and for my career for some business courses, some statistics, and what I call linear programming. I think it's called like quality management, GBS 220 and 221, and then GBS 131. But anyway, in order to teach at Maricopa Community College, you have to take this course called EDU 250, and it's just teaching in a community college. And so that was the first class I took at South. Any faculty member and adjunct faculty member, I think staff as well, they get discounts. So I decided to use my discount after that to take another course, and I took differential equations, which is probably the highest level of math that they have available at in the community college district. Because I love math and I just kind of wanted to not forget that stuff because it had been about 10 years at that point. And I've taken took a programming class because it was brand new to the district, so I wanted to see how it was done or it was going to be done at another campus first. And that's pretty much it. I've audited some other classes, meaning like kind of sat in on them. Kind of for the same purpose, just to see how is someone else doing this, or to get a refresher on something that it may have been years since I've seen, because I don't want to lose some things. But yeah, I personally would love to take a physics course at South Mountain someday, and also a chemistry course, because it's been a while since I've had those in my mind. And then I think the physics would be cool because it might help me make a game that I want to make. And a biology faculty member told me I should take her class because I hated biology in high school. I stayed away from it in college, and I still hate it now. She told me that there's so much math in it that in her class she would show me. So I may take her up on that someday when I have time. I am actually currently taking 3 classes at Georgia Tech for data analytics, which is a huge buzzword nowadays because it's always been there. The idea of being able to take data and information and then make informed decisions about it. I mean, we do that all the time. We do it mentally. We'll see something like you go to the grocery store. Which one of these should I buy? Okay, well this one gives me it's less per amount, so I'll get this one. All right, are you sure you want to do that? I mean, those are those fake Fruity Pebbles, those Dino Bites. Why not just get Fruity Pebbles? Ooh, these are Fruity Pebbles with marshmallows. Like those are data informed decisions, even in the simplest case. But so those courses involve more math and more programming, and also an idea of business sense, which CIS is about 2 of those 3 things, but it involves a smaller portion of math. But you have to have an understanding of it, a general understanding of it. All right. Well, that actually is. Oh, all right. Do I teach any math courses? Currently, this semester, I do not. I generally will teach GBS 220 unless Miss Benson would like to teach it. She's kind of, in my mind, she's my great mentor when no one else will ever be, in case anyone's ever had her class. Miss Benson is amazing. So GBS 220, GBS 131 is called Business Math. There's a technical mathematics course, GTC 107 and 108, that if you take it at any other college, you may actually see my face in it because I helped create the course. And then in the future, maybe around a year or two from now, they may allow me to teach some math courses after I have enough people to teach some of these other courses. I would love to teach at least one. I've taught them kind of in a homeschool setting. I actually homeschool on the side. So actually after this class, I'm going to run to a house and teach some kids some math. But I've done homeschool with calculus, and it's not. Homeschooling is different from just going and tutoring someone because you literally have to lay out a curriculum. You have to meet all the competencies from the state that says that these people need to learn this. So at this point in time, that's the closest thing. Those are the closest things I get to an MAT. They don't allow me to teach an MAT tab because I don't have a master's degree in mathematics. But hoping to change that soon because I really do love math, and I love the way the two things, math and computers, they marry together. So. Yeah. But if you ever have any questions about math and it's outside of class time, I would be glad to help you. I've done that several times. I used to hold study sessions for some of my CIS105 classes when I first started, but it would be for their math courses. So, all right. Well, I'm going to ask about you all too. Not in this setting because there's so many of us. Believe there's 18 of us. But I will ask. I will ask you in regards to an assignment, an introduction assignment. But before we do that, let's take a look at what we're going to be doing in this course. So I've introduced myself, and you all have found the link to this course. I put it in as many places as I could. I hope you guys found that Google Invite helpful as well. That was this is my first semester doing that, putting that link there, just because I thought it might be nice to have on some people's calendars. So my office will be online because we can't go to the city at this moment in time. So that link will be there. So the same link you use here will be the link to get to my office hours. And if we ever have a meeting or need a meeting where you need to talk with me about something, this is exactly where we'll meet. We'll meet on this platform. This is called a personal meeting room. Everyone that is a member of the Maricopa Community Colleges, when I say member, I mean faculty, I mean administration, I mean staff, and I mean students. Every person that's in Maricopa Community College District has their own WebEx personal meeting room. So that means if you were to download the application on your iPhone, on your iPad, on your Android mobile device, on your tablet, on your laptop, on your computer, whatever device you have, if you download the WebEx application, you will see when you open it up, there's an option to start meeting or to join a meeting. You can either start a meeting based from your personal meeting room, which will have a website link to it, kind of like mine. So it'll just say maricopa.webex.com/meet, and it will have whatever the username WebEx gives you, not your MEID, whatever WebEx gives you. And you can use these meeting rooms however you see fit. Now, of course, you want to be mindful of that. A school is giving this to you, so just be aware of what you do in them. But I've seen students, they've invited me to game nights that they've done within WebEx, which is kind of cool. So these are yours to use. Want to use them how you would at school. How would you meet people at school? Well, you would get together, maybe have some fun, or maybe get together in study groups. You can use these meeting rooms, your own personal meeting rooms, as much as you want. So I want to encourage that too, because a lot of times people think they're just for the faculty, but they're not. We actually can't even sign into it. As faculty, we have to sign into it with our student ID. So everyone that has one has to sign in with their student ID, which is like how you guys signed in today. Class will be Monday and Wednesdays, 11:30 to 12:45. It's going to be the same link. Kind of already gave an overview of what CIS105 is going to be about. We're going to look at every possible aspect that we can fit into here, beyond the competencies and including the competencies in regards to technology. So hardware, software, database. Will class not be in person at all this semester? That's up in the air. So we started off this way, and the reason we did was because of, well, maybe more obvious reasons, but just for the safety and concern of students and faculty. At right now, I've been told that it's a flat out no, but I've also been told that it is a possibility if things are completely cleared, they can go in and we could be in October. Do not say that Professor Stevens said that we're going to be back in class October, because I didn't say that. I said I've been told that that is a possible option, but at this point in time, it's a no. So I hope we are able to go back, but I also want to make sure everyone feels completely comfortable and safe when doing so, because even if things are clear and people are still have fear about it, that's not going to be fun for any of us. So we want to come back in a positive, thankful environment. So, but yeah. If we do have class, all that stuff, all that information will be given to you guys very quickly. It'll be easy to find. The classrooms and things like that will be updated in your student center. Also, we'll give announcements online and things like that. So if it ever becomes available, I will definitely let you know. If not, you'll probably let me know, because you'll probably find out before I do. All right. So we'll be using Canvas. So if you're taking any other class at Maricopa, and probably even nowadays, Canvas is the most widely used learning management system in the country, if not even possibly even the world now. Everyone loves using Canvas. It's very simple. You get modules that you can follow through. And our class is module based. So this class is a 3 credit hour course. So that means you're expected to spend at least 9 hours, or on average 9 hours a week on it. Does that mean you'll spend 9 hours? No, it could be 3 hours one week and then 12 hours another. Yeah, it will just depend on the week, and then and how much extra effort you need to put into maybe a certain topic. Because like I said, we'll be talking about a lot of topics throughout this course. And I like to hear that stuff, like, hey, this seemed longer than I thought it would be. The reason I like to hear that is because maybe there's some things that we need to tweak, or something was like, oh, that only took like 2 minutes to do. I want to know that, because then maybe there needs to be more there and less somewhere else. So you all can go through the Canvas part as well. However, I do want to point out something, and I'm going to go to student view real quick so you guys can see it how you see it on your own screen. Oh, put the wrong thing. Try it again. Oh, moved up. Okay, it's loading. And so student view is kind of like, is actually how you all view it. But the reason I wanted to show you this is because as you move through these modules, you will need to mark as done that you have read, or you're acknowledging that you have had the opportunity to go through that page. And so that will be seen at the top right corner of a page you're on. I have had students, and I can kind of see, because I can see how long you have been on a page. I've had students literally just go through and click all those and go straight to their assignment. Oh, looks like it broke. So I can't straight up see that view right now, but I do have a video example of what it will look like. And I want to make sure you guys at least understand what I'm talking about. Let's see. Oh, where is it at? All right, so that first thing there at the top there, you'll see that your thing has to be complete all items. That means you haven't, as I said in the video, you haven't completed all the items in that course. You'll see it turn green and kind of check off when you have. Down the side of it, you'll also see little circles, which will have check marks when you have done whatever you needed to in order to complete that section. Now, there may be some pages that don't have these circles. If they do, that means they aren't necessary, or sorry, not necessary. They are necessary, but they're not mandatory for you to go to, view, or do anything on. But if there is a circle here, there is something that you need to do, whether it be click a mark as done, or complete an assignment, or even score a certain amount on an assignment before you're able to move forward. So here's an example. So you see that up there in the top corner of that page, it actually says mark is done. So after you went through the page, you can go up there and click that. And then that lets me know, it's kind of like a contract too. If someone says, hey, we never talked about this, I can be like, well, you marked this done here. So you did see this in this course. And it's not to be like, oh, you're lying, because you may not, maybe you forgot, but it's also kind of a way in case someone ever says that something wasn't covered, I can always go back and say, well, it was, and here's where you said that you did it. It also helps you kind of have a checklist for yourself. Sometimes we used to do in the past this PDF file, which you guys could print off and then go check little check boxes yourself to say, I did that, I did that, I did that. Well, this kind of does that virtually. So that's what that is. And move on then to the next page here. So recommended computer skill. Oh, when we go back to, so there's a question, if when we go back to a physical classroom, would we still use Canvas in the same way? Yes, we would. I created this course before, I structured this course way before we ever had a pandemic, and we have never changed it. The reason we structured it this way is because there were students that had to take this class online, but they had to sign up for it in person for different reasons, for either scholarships or because it was the only thing available. And so we wanted to structure the course so that it would be the same online and in person. The difference is with being in an in-person format, kind of like we're doing now, is you have direct contact at least 3 hours a week automatically. And so that's the point of this. If classes do you have a choice to stay online? You do. I know that my head boss, so the vice president of learning, has been very supportive of that option. So if we did come back in person, like I said before, some people may not feel safe with it. And I definitely do not want to have someone being fearful in the class because they feel like they have to. You should honestly never do anything out of obligation. If something does feel like it's being obligated, you should go and try to reevaluate to see if it's just you making it that way or if it actually is someone pressuring you to do something. But in regards to coming back to the classroom, if we come back, I'm going to be there because I love being there. I have several masks. And I probably would even share masks if people, if we came back, I know we would have to have them because we've already been told that. But then we would have things set up so that we would have to be spread apart. Now there are, last I checked, there were 20 people still signed up in this course. So can we fit 20 people in a classroom set for 25 and still be 6 feet apart? No. So it would have to, we would probably move into a kind of some of you come on Monday, the other half come on Wednesday kind of format. But it would depend because we may have only, 16 people that say, I want to come at the campus. And if we do, we can fit them in socially distanced. So yeah. So to answer your question very simply, there would, if you would still have a choice to stay online, yes. But in that case, you still would be doing what you're doing now. You would log in, and I would have WebEx and everything set up, so we would do it virtually and in person at the same time. And I love how you guys are asking questions too. You're openly unmuting yourself, asking, and you're asking them in the chat. So I really appreciate that. That shows that you guys are engaged, and that you have questions and you want answers. So recommended computer skills, you're all able to navigate on the internet because you're able to get here. The use of email, that's actually one of your first assignments for this week, is using email. So I can know that you know how to use your Maricopa email, your student email. Before I made this mandatory as an assignment in this course, I would have about 50% of my students that would answer or emails from that I sent to their student email, because many of them never knew that they existed. Some were graduating that semester and they didn't even know that they were really there. So I want to make sure you guys know that and use it. I also had to upload and download files onto using email. And so these are just pretty much a list of things that we expect able to do in order to be successful in this class. I've had students that have literally didn't know how to turn on the computer when they first came into a classroom, and then they have successfully completed this course. And I'm not talking about by this like the snare of the teeth, like barely getting by with a C. I mean successfully. It's all about desire and the commitment that you put towards it, not just your natural talent. So, all right. Technology requirements, you must have access to a Windows computer in order to do this. The reason is because we will be looking at Microsoft Office applications, and yes, they are available on Apple devices. No, they are not available on Chrome devices unless you have the Linux beta version where you can switch your computer to be a Linux operating systems and then you download them. But there is one thing that regardless will not be available. Not just the fact that some Office applications have less features if you use them on different devices besides a Windows computer, but Microsoft Access, which is a big part of this course, we'll spend about 2 to 4 weeks in Microsoft Access. It can only be done on a Windows computer. That's it. It can only be done on a Windows computer. Now, let's take another poll. And I don't know why it's taking so long to come up. There it is. And what operating system do you have? And I'm going to ask, do you have Windows 7 or higher? An older version of Windows? You have Mac OS? Do you have Chrome OS? Or do you have a Linux version? And I'm going to ask you all that now. So what operating system do you have, also called OS? And if you're using an iPad, I guess I probably should have put in another option. Just give in a no answer or put it in the chat or something. Like if you only have an iPad or an iPhone, you don't have a computer. And that has actually happened in this course before, where a student did everything they could only just on an iPad. Okay. Some of you are getting laptops from the school soon. Okay, good. Those will be Windows laptops. Last I heard, at least, it would be Windows.
Ma.
All right, we're getting good numbers here. It's about 6 of you still need the answer. And this is very important. As you can see, you have to have it for 2 to 4 weeks of this course, have access to it. And I have a way for you, so don't think it's not going to be possible. Is it possible to go to campus and use the ones there? MacBook. I will answer that question in a moment after the poll.
Alex.
All right. So
Toilet paper.
6 of you that have not answered yet.
Just leave it outside the door.
Someone is unmuted. Since it sounds like you may be having a personal conversation, I don't want to have that on the recording. So if you can mute yourself. MacBook. Only have a Chrome. Okay. All right. I'm gonna assume that you guys were the ones that couldn't answer on. So Chromebook is a Chrome OS. Okay. All right.
Coming to you.
I'm assuming that the last few are the ones that were on.
There you go.
Okay. I'm gonna close the poll. So it looks like majority of you do have a Windows 7 or higher computer, which is good. About 3 of you said that you have, or 4 of you said you have a MacBook. So you have a Mac OS X, and 1 of you says you have a Chromebook. So a couple of I still didn't receive an answer from. So Someone also asked in chat, will you be able to go to campus and use those computers? So let's talk about our options here. So first and foremost, and you'll see on this page actually, I don't know if you guys can see the polling stuff. First and foremost, you'll see on here that the Computer Commons is actually going to be available. Last I checked, it's still available, and I put in the syllabus the times in which it will be available, in days it'll be available. So you can go in there. Now, keep this in mind. You are going to campus. There are going to be very limited people there, and there are going to be very limited available due to social distancing. So, if you do go, just keep that in mind. And you'll have to do the temperature test and everything else. It should be very clear on how that's done, but pretty much there's like something that's going to be kind of standing up, and it registers whether you have a mask on, and it registers your temperature. So you do have to have a mask too when you go on campus. But you'll be able to use the computer from there, and you can sign in with your MEID and password into those computers. Now they do take a while, and they record that image of you, meaning they create you as a user on that computer, not into a vast, not into a server somewhere that has all the users on campus. No, it's only on that computer. I say that because if you were to go one day and then the next day you go to a different one, your stuff's not, the things you saved and did aren't going to be on there. One. Two, it's going to take a while for it to create that image of you again because it's a different computer. It's not the same one. So if you ever do go to the Computer Commons to use the computer, try to go to the exact same computer every time, as much as you can, because it makes it easier for you to log in. They are highly suggesting people not go on campus and use the computers. It is available, but just again due to safety concerns, it's not the first thing that people should go for. So what I have done is I've taken the liberty to torture myself for a couple of hours to create workspaces, which would be a virtual platform in which you have a virtual machine, your own computer that will be a Windows operating system computer. Now, I mentioned how I kind of torture myself for some hours to do so, because it takes time for me to set those up. So at some point, hopefully soon, what we'll do is I will send out a survey asking you all kind of the same thing again, and just getting your name and a couple other information because I have to keep record of who has what and what I create. And then I'll make those for you all. Now, I will not be just doing it for this class. I'll be doing it for every CIS105 class, every BPC 110 course, every course that uses Microsoft Office applications and students don't have those computers. So that is why it takes hours to do so. Now, I did this last semester as well, so I have no problem doing it. That will be for those students that have MacBooks. And sometimes students with the MacBooks tend to wait till we get to Excel and Access before they ask for using one. And then that'll be for students that have Chromebooks as well, because you won't be able to do any of the Office applications on your Chromebook. I've had students that have tried to finagle it by, oh, I'll just use Google Docs, Google Sheets, and then I'll just save it as that type of file. And then they realize they don't have, even we tell them beforehand, you don't have the same functionality available to you. Even the formats and things are going to be different because Microsoft has a lot more available on its office applications. Well, Google tends to say, what do people really need to use? Sometimes they're behind the ball on that. And if they've, like with Excel over the last couple, or not Excel, with Google Sheets over the last couple of years, they've added pivot tables, they've added macros, which were like pinnacle items in Excel that everyone needed to use. So they've begun to add those things. But even using those, if you were to download it as an Excel file, it actually would just go away. They wouldn't still be attached to it. So those are things to, at least at this point in time, those are things to just keep in mind. So don't just think that, oh, I'll just do it anyway on this kind of device and save it as this file, because you will lose stuff. So that's why I'm going to create those virtual spaces for you. All right, so I want to do the poll now because we were trying to test to see if numbers had gotten better. Usually we had about 50% of students would have to need that option. So, okay, looks like it's not as bad though this semester, which is good. All right, so Web browsers, I recommend using Chrome. Um, the reason being is because Canvas has told us they work best in Google Chrome. I've had students, especially have MacBooks, that tend to just use Safari because it came with it, which I completely understand. I used Microsoft Edge for a while with my computer because it came with it until I had no choice. But Canvas and a lot of other things that you'll be using will work best in Chrome. Firefox is also good. Again, Chrome is the better option out of all of them. Internet Explorer is definitely not recommended. Even if you have a newer Windows computer, you'll notice Internet Explorer is not automatically your default. Microsoft Edge is, because they even want you to move away from it, but it's still built into the system. So there are a couple other plugins that you may need. Flash will be going away soon, so you won't actually even require, that won't be even needed anymore. December 2020. Some of your computers will even say that you can't use Flash at all anymore, which is not technically true. December 2020 is when things are going to be officially wiped from everything, I think. The only reason I say that is because Chrome's like the last thing that's still allowing people to use applications and files and go to websites that use Flash, but they'll stop after December 2020. Okay, so some things that you may need to know, regardless of the computer. Well, sorry, if you have a Windows or a Mac computer and you don't have Microsoft Office, that's okay. It is free and available to you through Microsoft Office 365, which is their online version of it, kind of like a competitive way to compete with Google's Office applications because it'll be online. Using the Microsoft Office 365 online is not the same as using Microsoft Office on your computer. That is why they have it available for you to download. It does not look the same even in some areas, and it does not have the same tabs available. So I have had students that have said, well, I still have the Chromebook, and you said I can't use the Google stuff. Well, I'll just go to Microsoft Office 365. It's not going to be the same. So, and regardless, access still won't be available with that. And that's just for some of the operations that we're doing. When we get into pivot tables and we get into macros within Excel, you won't be able to do those things. And even some things in PowerPoint you won't be able to do from just using the PowerPoint that's available there. Google Drive is another thing that you automatically have as a Maricopa student. It's included in your Google Suite. So when you go to your Gmail account, it will be there. Actually, let me show you an example. So I'll go to google.maricopa.edu, and then I can sign in with my username, my MEID at maricopa.edu, and my password. And this is my student email I'm logging into. Please do not email my student email. I've shown it in classes to show as an example. So people email me from it. I'm not going to check it because I'm not a student at Maricopa. So, but please get started. All right, cool. I know how to use you. All right, but in this top right corner where you still next to your account name, you'll see these 9 dots. These are your different applications within the Google Suite. One of them will be Google Drive. I suggest uploading any files that you, especially if you're on your own home computer, it'll be fine. But if you go to another computer, I suggest uploading your files for the course in Google Drive, creating folders within that as well. Calendar is available here for you to create calendars, or not create a calendar, to use the calendar that's there. You have Google Meets available to you as well in case you want to meet up in groups on that instead of using WebEx. And all of these other features are available as well. So in case you ever want to make your own YouTube video for your courses, and some of your teachers will ask you to do so, this is how you can do that. But that's what's available there, and that's actually how you get to it. And that brings me to another thing, because you all actually have available to you an email from me in your student account. You'll see an email with the subject line zippity doodah for an assignment. Some of you have already started on that assignment. We'll get to that on Wednesday. But if you want to go ahead and get a head start on it, you can. So that's how you log into that, and that's how you can use those applications. I do want to show you Microsoft Office 365 so you can see how to download it as well. So if you go to login.microsoftonline.com, login.microsoftonline.com. Oh, looks like mine's already logged me in. Sign out of SharePoint real quick so you guys can see the login process. All right, there we go. All right, so hope this isn't on here. Yeah. So what you do is you log in. It'll ask for your username. You'll put in your MEID at maricopa.edu. If you work at the school and you have a southmountain.cc.edu, don't use that. Or if you work at any other Maricopa colleges, make sure you use your MEID at maricopa.edu. Put in your password. Oops. And then it will log you in. You have a choice to stay logged in if you want to or not. And then it will open up Office 365. And so with this, you are able to, like I said, you're able to use these applications that are listed here. Let me show you all of them. Okay. But let me show you, for example, what Excel looks like. And there are updates on this as well as they move forward. But yeah, so hey, it looks all right, right? This looks kind of like Excel for the most part. Yeah. There are other tabs that we'll want to be able to add in, but it won't have all the features that we will need for this course. So even though it looks like it has most of it, it doesn't, or that it has all of it, it does not. It's not the exact same as using it on your actual desktop. You even see here they give you an option to open in desktop app. That's why they do that, because you don't have everything available to you. So if you want to start from there, you can, and then you can open it up on your machine once you have a machine that has it. But I actually do want to go back. Oops. Because this is how you will install this if you do not have this on your machine. So if you have a Windows computer, 7 or higher, and you have or you have a MacBook, you can click to the right here where it says Install Office, and you should be able to just click Office 365 apps and it'll download perfectly fine. I've been telling people for years that if you have a Mac that you should go to the other install options so that you can let them know specifically and make sure that it's recognizing you have a Mac. And more recently, that's been a big issue for people. So view apps in the, so if you didn't see that, it starts off in my account. You could again click straight on install Office. Notice that you have up to 5 PCs or Macs, tablets, 5 smartphones that you can install this on. I always go to view apps and I would suggest go to view apps and devices so you can see the version that you need to install on. So for example, look here, like it sees that I've signed in on a Mac computer as well before. So I can sign out of that if I want to sign out of Office. But this is where you would want to install, and it should be checking for your version here. So which it's doing there. If you don't know if you have a 64-bit or 32-bit version for your Windows computer, if you were to open up your menu here, actually I'm gonna do it from the search bar. Go to, actually I usually just type operating system because it'll go straight to it. You could go through settings and then go to the about your PC, but I usually just type in operating system and it'll go straight to it. Because from here, you'll notice that it'll say system type, 64-bit operating system. So I know to download the 64-bit version. Again, it should automatically recognize what kind you have on your computer. But I have seen instances where it hasn't been more recently. So just keep that in mind. But that's how you can install Office onto your machine so that you can have it for this course. The instructions are found here as well in case you can't follow it from the video. And they're also listed here in this image. So other things that you may want to have is to make sure your laptop or device has a microphone. So if you have an iPhone, you already have that. Or if you have Android, you already have that because you can just use the microphone from there and then upload it. Webcam is another thing you may want to have, not something you have to have though. Move on here. If you ever run any issues with Canvas or using a piece of software that we've given you for this course, just send me an email. Make sure you send it from your Maricopa, your student email, and just give a subject line CIS105 and then tell me like a brief thing of what's your issue. That way I can see it and I know to look for it, or I know that this is something with CIS105. I get tons of emails and sometimes it's like, should probably go in the spam folder, but just advertisement from Adobe, from Visual Studio, from Microsoft, from all kinds of people. And I'm like, I really don't even want to see this, but I keep it there just in case if something cool shows up with it. So I don't want to miss out on an important email. So if you were to just put like Microsoft and like, how do you do that? I'm going to think it's coming from them. So put CIS105 in the subject line. So I know about that. Your final project in class will be an e-portfolio. In week 3, we will also, I will help you get started on creating your e-portfolio. So an e-portfolio is just an electronic collection of what you've done. So you can show and demonstrate that I have such skills or I can do this. It's a great thing to have to give to future employers as well. And it's a great thing to start now. If this is your first class or even this is your last class at South Mountain, it's a great thing to start. So we do our e-portfolios in this course in PowerPoint. You do not have to put it in PowerPoint. If you want to create a website for it, we will talk about web page development later in the course. But you can also create a Google site, which you all have access to as one of the Google Suite applications. Whenever you go to your student account, you'll see it there. And it's pretty easy to follow. You just kind of insert pictures and type text. But the point of the portfolio, again, is just to demonstrate knowledge that you have, that you've gained, and skills that you've gained throughout anything in your life. So it's a great thing to have, again, because you can always, especially if you have it as a website, you can always send it to a future employer after you go through an interview or something. Or if you have a resume, you can be like, you can also check out my site. So we'll be helping you create one of those in this course. Netiquette, just be professional online, in the chat, in voicing anything to your instructor or to anyone else in the course as well. We have to be very careful being online in the way we are. Kind of is a complete accident that happened earlier, but I mentioned earlier about keeping yourself on mute because of the feedback, but also things could happen in the background that you may not want people to know, or like even like notice behind me, I have a wooden panel, so you don't see what's back there. I mean, it's honestly it's just my closet, so it's not anything like dangerous. But I have been on WebEx with students before in the classroom where there was some maybe provocative posters in the background and things like that, which offended some people, but no one said anything. Until, well, I said something to them, and I pretty much just asked them to turn off their video. You just want to be aware of your surroundings. So if you have video on here, you don't want to just have anything willy-nilly in the background. You want to make sure things are nice, clean, and don't leave any room for anyone to say you're doing anything wrong. And also, if you have roommates and you're in your house with your family or you have kids, especially if you have kids, it's completely understandable, and no one should ever hold you against for your kid being in the room with you, because you're probably looking after them while you're also taking this course. But you just kind of want to be mindful if you have like other adults and things around. Like I have roommates and I have to let them know like when I'm doing stuff because I don't want them to like bust in like, oh, this is emergency, and it's not even a real emergency, and just interrupt the class, or shouting obscenities or whatever because they get mad or whatever. Just because things happen, but you don't want that to be like in front of everyone else's face, and be taken the wrong way. So keep yourself on mute, and unless you have something that you need to speak, because I do want you to speak up if you have questions or anything that you need to say. So there's always an FAQ discussion board that's available to you as well. The purpose of this is for you to ask questions and for your classmates and for myself to answer them, because there may be general questions for everyone. If someone asks me a question in email, I'm not very good at putting the questions on a discussion board. Sometimes I'm good about emailing the entire class at once and letting them know about the question, and giving an answer. But this is probably the best place to do so, because everyone can see it and everyone will always have access to it. All right. So make sure to go through all of that. And then the last thing would be to go through the syllabus, because by the end of the day, you need to have completed this introductory course introduction and syllabus acknowledgement quiz. I'll give you a preview of what that looks like, because this also kind of helps me say that I've gone through everything and I can make sure. So question one is just to make sure you've gone through those. Remember, you're to mark those as done as you're going through. So if you went through all of them. What's the name of the course? If you guys remember that, right here it even says Survey of Computer Information Systems. Just saying. I'm expected to work an average of 10 weeks per week on this course. Just say true on that. Again, you may end up working less. Some of you may work more, but it'll average out to be about 9-10 weeks. Which of the following operating system must you have access to in order to complete this course? Like we said, it does matter. You have to have a certain operating system in order to do access. That was the Windows one. And lastly, if I have not worked on assignments nor participated with the course nor contacted my instructor for 2 weeks, I will be dropped from the course. This is very true. I did forget this part. It is a part of our financial aid standards, that you will be dropped from the course if you do not, if you're not actively participating for 2 weeks, is what their language is. So actively participating was generally attendance for people. For this course, I found that just attending is not actively participating, and at least for me. I have had students that literally have come to class every single day. They have asked questions, but they never did a single assignment. That's still actually participating because they're asking questions. They're engaged with the classroom. I've had students that have come to class that have literally just sat and never turned an assignment, never asked anything, never given anything back, or try to receive. That is, if you did that, if you just came in here and did that for 2 weeks straight, I would ask you, hey, what's going on? We need to make some changes, otherwise you'll be dropped from the course. So that's important to remember. If things are going on, or there's extra time needed for an assignment or something, you just let me know. It's as simple as that. And it's you don't have to go into too much detail because you need to keep your own lives, your personal lives, private and personal. But if you just something's going on, let me know. One thing I will also say, the way I have my course set up, with the exception of this first, the course introduction and syllabus acknowledgement quiz, with the exception of this, everything else you can turn in whenever. I suggest turning it on the due date that's there. Why? So you're not trying to wait in the last week to do everything for this entire course. I'll tell you, it's not possible. I've had someone that tried to wait until the last 6 weeks to do so. And they were actually participating in the classroom and they did not complete it. So make sure you do this by tonight. We legally have to give a on-time registration, or fill out an on-time registration, meaning that we're stamping that these people are in our class. So if you don't fill this out by tonight, you will be dropped from the course. However, I'll send out an email to those that don't complete it by midnight, saying, hey, you're going to be dropped from the course. If you are going to be in here and you are wanting to, you are like completely registered for this class and you actually want to be a part of it, then I'll send it so that you can get reinstated into the course. But legally, I have to actually put this because this affects how much money we get for funding for the school. It also affects financial aid. So, yeah, make sure you complete that by tonight. And then tell us about you and your technological experiences. Here's your second assignment. So I want you to answer these 5 questions after you kind of introduce yourself. I introduced myself in the video here. I introduced myself earlier in this course today. You can upload a video if you would like as well. You can use these digital tools in this link. However you want. Just kind of that is to give you a way to be creative. First time I taught this course, students were very creative. They would do videos, they would do voiceovers and things like that. After that, everyone always wrote everything. I do not like to read a bunch of text. I will do it if I have to, though. It just takes a lot of time. It's easier for me to listen, and I feel more engaged when I'm listening or I'm even seeing you talk about it. So I do want you to describe these things. Your first technology device. How has your use of technology evolved since that first device? I love hearing the Game Boys, or I had a cell phone when I was 3 years old, and things like that. What was the most innovative technology to date? People usually say smartphone. You know, get really into that. What is it? And it just based off what you know. You can do some research if you want, but I kind of just want to see what do you know or what do you think it is? Because this question really would be different for you based off what you do in your life. How might you use technology in your professional life, in your future career? This will be very important for this course. And what is the greatest barrier? What is the greatest barrier in regard to using technology and why? So this is your opinion. So replying to classmates, anytime you have a discussion in this class, it's going to be optional. I hate forcing people to reply. I hate being forced to reply in a classroom because I don't see the point of it. If I really want to reply to someone, I'm going to. And that's how I think that you all would do as well. So if you see something cool that someone says or you disagree or whatever, go ahead and have at it. Just keep it professional. Don't say that, oh, no, you're wrong, because it's their opinion. It's not necessarily a fact or not. It could be a fact. And it could just be what you think is wrong. So, but anyway, I encourage you to respond and reply to people's posts. I'm not going to mandate it. That's the purpose of this, is to build a classroom environment. And if you're forced to do something out of obligation, like I said, I don't like to do that, and you should never do so. So, all right. Oh, looks like some of you have already got at it, so which is good. All right. Well, I have gone a minute over. I apologize for taking a minute over your time. I try my best not to do so. So with that all said, I will see you all on Wednesday. Please feel free to email me any other questions that you feel you need before you can continue in this course. And yeah, I will see you on Wednesday, 11:30. Same link, same time. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.